We are live. We are live now. Actually, we should be live. Hopefully, we're live.
We're doing
What
it
a day.
live. Fuck it.
Doing it live.
Fucking,
Oh, that's the greatest thing. I remember seeing
fucking
that.
thing sucks.
Well, considering Twitter's going after everybody, it's like eventually they're going to come after me because they're probably, like, I'm at the bottom of the list. Like, who cares? I got no influence. They're probably their little algorithm scrolling through my stuff, picking out what's been said, and like, my channel's gonna get nuked, and it's gonna be funny. All these people that like, what's your career? Well, can do commissions, day labor work, what I could take, go scrap metal, and all. What do? I'm a YouTuber. Good luck in your job prospects, man. Oh dear God.
What are your skills? I'm a YouTuber.
I'm an influencer.
I'm a social media influencer. Yeah. You can influence me right out of the room because I'm not here to listen to that shit.
Well, that's what gets me. You get these people like they're kids. Like, what happened to you? Like, I used to want to be, like, for pretty much my entire life, I always wanted to draw comics until I realized in the mid '90s, after this is Marvel went bankrupt and everything. This is after the death of Superman, all that stuff, and like and that's after the death of Kirby too. And then I was reading these, and even not just like New York Times. I'm talking like Fayetteville Observer. Not even it's a who gives a shit paper. But just finding out like, oh my God, like in Wizard as well, like these people were not treated well. These people were treated like garbage. Like, I don't know if I had a dream like, oh, I want to draw X-Men, do an X-Men comic and all that stuff, and that dream just died on the vine. Everything shriveled up, turned into dust, and took to the wind. Because like, who wants to do that anymore? Like, they want to be a YouTube influencer on Instagram all the time or some crap like that.
Yeah, just follow your dreams. Follow your dreams, until you find out it's a nightmare, and then it is what it is. I'm not gonna get a dump on everybody on their dreams, but I mean, come on, we live in a kind of a weird time where it was just kind of, you can do anything, you can do this, you can do that, and but they don't want to do anything, and it's just I saw some tweet about millennial dads not being able to do menial tasks like baby boomers did. It's like fixing a patching a hole in your drywall, or fixing your lawnmower, or doing like shit that basically guys used to be able to do, and now they're just like, oh well, at least we spend time with our kids. Yeah, okay. You're a dad. You should be spending time with the kids, right?
They spend time with their wife's sons.
But yeah,
I'm taking my wife's son to the park.
I'm taking. I love that. I love that meme. That little. That's me and my wife's son.
But that's the truth. I mean, I growing up in the South does have its drawbacks because the Southern drawl that I have, which I cannot get rid of. I can fake it. Hey, how are you doing? I have that kind of Mid-Atlantic kind of thing going on. You talk like that. But I learned how. I mean, there was one day coming back from school. It was like a middle school. Coming down, got picked up. I think it was a Friday. Got picked up by my mom. We're driving down the back road to get home. We see this thing run across the road. It didn't look like a possum. It looked about the size of a possum, like a skinned possum, like it's pink. I was like, what the hell is that? So we stopped the car because we're not afraid of, like, oh my God, what is that? We'll stop. But we got out and looked like we grabbed a tire iron. Turned out to be a piglet. It was all cut up, but it fell out of the back of a truck or something.
No shit.
And we grabbed it. We took it home. And then while that night it was kind of hurt, put a little hydrogen peroxide on it because we figured, close enough to a human and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And we put bandages on it. And while during the night, you heard its hooves have hardwood floors. So going around, you'd hear slipping and sliding. Woke up, pig shit all over the living room floor because it's hardwood floors. He was freaking out.
Yeah.
And luckily for hardwood floors, pretty easy to clean up. It wasn't much going on, so we had to clean that shit up. And then figured out making diapers out of old rock band T-shirts that smelled like cigarettes that was given to me by a cousin of mine. It was like there's probably some good shirts at the time. I just didn't. At the time, I didn't care because I was like, not that
It's like poison or like what?
poison, white snake, probably stuff like
Well, one
that.
thing I'd keep, but like slaughter or like Saigon kick. You're like, okay, let's just we can watch these go bye
Well, that's the
bye.
thing is like this is before like having access. Like I didn't have friends that listen to this kind of music. I didn't have this before having internet, so it
Yeah.
wasn't like I could just look it up. Even with internet at that time, like you only had YouTube to go look it up. So it's like you're at the mercy of whatever's on MTV or the radio. So in doing so, I was like, so we made these makeshift diapers for the pig.
Oh God.
And then eventually, 2 days later, well, we got to do something with this pig. Either give it away, find somebody to, like it. But it turned docile. It was like, it was being around people. It almost like act like a dog, which was weird. But it started getting big and really big, but the size of a human walking on all fours.
Jesus.
And things get big quick. And 2 days after we got this pig, my dad's driving down this back road, sees a box, and then sees stuff like coming out of the box. He's like, it looked like dust or something. It turned out to be feathers. It was a box full of hens.
Jesus Christ.
And it was like God or something just dropping animals in our laps, basically. And then a friend of the family, they had a rooster that was like fighting with the hens. Like basically, like he was the Ike Turner of the hen house. and they wanted to get rid of him. They were tempted to kill him. He says, "You don't have no need for a rooster, do you?" And it was this kind of brown and golden looking rooster. And we'll take him. And he turned out not to be attacking our hens, the ones we had in the box, the castaway hens, these 3 hens. And within one day, it was like a Tuesday, and this is like summertime. Like this is like that little summer break. I think it was like last day of school. That's when we picked up that pig. It had to be around that time. But we built it was a barn, but it was only a 2-sided barn with a roof because the other 2 sides had fencing, chicken wire, and then chain link. So like nothing could get in. It's like chain link mainly just for the sturdiness, but the chicken wire for most snakes and other critters and everything like that. And we built this from like sun up to sundown. Me, my dad, and my brother. We built a structure that theoretically a human could live in. It had a door and everything, and 2 solid walls out of it. And it stood until the land got sold off and got torn down for funny enough, a hog transfer station. It's where 2 trucks to haul hogs, the trucks and trailers would back up to them and transfer hogs from one truck and trailer to another. The exact same location, which is odd. I don't think they had any clue that in that location there was hogs before, which is just odd. But it's whatever.
That's crazy.
But a hog would eat snakes. That was the bizarre thing. Like there was these snakes in there. I would come in there to get some chicken eggs, and I couldn't. It was at nighttime. It was like just had turned night, and my mom's in the car, honks the horn, and I'm like, what? And I'm like, because she saw it before I did, because the headlights were behind me, so they're like shining. So if I turn left or right peripheral, I'm getting blinded by the lights of the car. This chicken snake, this black chicken snake, black runner, I think they call them, was basically eye level with me because that's where the chicken, the coops are, where the eggs, the hens would nest and lay the eggs. It was eye level with me because it's sticking out through the fence because there's fence on the inside as well. And I hit the wall. I knocked like 2 boards loose against the wall of the barn, and I jump out. And like there's dust over, it's very dry, and this snake just comes out, like basically falling. And I used to be so scared of snakes. I'm like deathly afraid, like Indiana Jones scared of snakes. And until that night, and I was like, "You son of a bitch!" I grabbed a hoe and I chopped him up like sushi, starting with the tail and moved it to the head.
Jesus.
And I got down. You know that scene in Happy Gilmore where he gets down on it, like you go to your home, yelling at the ball.
Yeah.
I was yelling at this chicken snake's head as it's moving its mouth, like trying to bite or move forward because he's trying to independent because his brain's telling his body to move. It's just like a person. If they get hurt bad enough, you have to twitching and shit like that.
Sure.
And I was on my hands and knees, like yelling and screaming at the snake head. It's like mouth opening and closing because it's just is brain synapses. And then I realized what I was doing. I was like, this is crazy. I need to get out of here. And then the next day, most of the snake was gone. I guess like critters in the night, just like, oh, sushi, snake sushi, just grabbed it up. But it didn't have no other issues.
When you were telling me about the snake and his eye level, it just reminded me of that guy that it was like a viral video that just came out not that long ago. This guy like opening the door, like ringing the doorbell to his buddy's house, and the fucking snake just came out of nowhere and bit him right in the face.
Oh,
did you see that guy?
No,
yeah,
no.
It's hilarious. I shouldn't laugh at it, but it's just like the guy like rings the doorbell. It's like that one of those doorbell cams. And he's kind of like, knocking on the door, and he's kind of talking to himself, just like you would like any other person. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this fucking snake just strikes and bites him right in the face. And he's like, "Oh fuck!"
that reminds me. There was a girl I had a crush on in middle school, named Jessica, and for some reason I gravitated towards like girls named Jessica for some unintentionally. It's like, her name's Jessica. Oh, cool. That's funny. It's like weirdly. Maybe I listened to a lot of the Allman Brothers. Their song Jessica.
Sure.
But it was just kind of odd how that happened. We had a side porch growing up, and on the side porch, it was like just brick porch, no overhang or anything like that, and a few little shrubs and little bushes, like I forgot what kind. There's like honeysuckle or something like that, or whatever. And they put like one of those little kiddie pool things up there because it's like had the bigger pools, but those are easier to fill, and like you just wanted to cool off during the summer when it's a really hot day or whatever. And next door neighbor was Jessica and her sister. I was out there just basically laying in this little kiddie pool. I was a kid at the time, and like talking, 5th grade or something.
Yeah,
maybe even still in elementary school. It was right maybe between that elementary school, middle school, break. And I'm laying there, and I think I had like a little washcloth or something on my face to keep the sun out of my eyes. And I hear something rustling. And there's Jessica and her sister. Oh, can we get in the pool? And I'm like, yeah, sure, go ahead. I'm just sitting there, whatever, just like, oh, I'm, almost feeling popular. And everything's going good. And had a crush on her and everything. Didn't say nothing at the time because I was scared to death. It's like the rejection even then. Sure. And so I'm sitting there on the porch, everything. And the funniest thing was she ruined my pool. And not in the way you think that, she didn't shit the bed.
No.
But what happened is being in the South, they have these. There's a type of lizard called a Carolina anole, and they're basically like standard little green, like 5-inch lizards. They're like kind of lime green, like little grayish yellow bellies. They just eat bugs. They, like bugs in the grass, bugs on walls. Like especially if we have a street light. And any bugs that would get in like the corners and stuff like that of the windows because of reflection off the light and all that. These things are around. You just might not see them all the time because of the color. A little bit of the camouflage, the chameleon. And and it was just funny because I'm sitting there and my back against the wall, and they're there with their backs against where they're staying at the place across the street at the time. And Jessica's eyes get really big, and I'm like, what? Did she fart or something? That's the first thing I thought. I thought, like something.
You should make a jacuzzi in the.
But she's like, she starts pointing and starts backpedaling and starts screaming and falls out of the pool and ruins. Look, some things are not that thick, that vinyl.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for me, she was on the side that had the seam. Because some seams and things are cheap to begin with. She split the seam open. Things started bleeding out. I didn't think nothing of it because it was the lizard on my back. He just, because things can climb. He climbed up on my back. He was like hanging on my shoulder like a parrot would. Because I'm like, it's a lizard. Who cares? It's one of these cool little lizard dudes. And her sister didn't care. It's like whatever. It's like just a lizard, but she gets scared of lizards. Well, I don't know if she's scared of lizards anymore. I think she was married and divorced and stuff like that. So she got used to the lizards, I guess. But this is kind of funny how people get freaked out about stuff like me. Like now, if I see a snake, I avoid it. But I'm like, terrifying. I think we had that scene from David Lynch's Mulholland Drive, where the guy behind the diner is like, dies. Not me. I'm a little stronger than that.
It's funny. My son, who's 4 now, he's kind of like, because the weather's been getting nicer, we've been taking him outside, and he's like, "Daddy, look, get Daddy, get it away. And I'm like, it's just a fly, or it's just a moth, or it's just an ant, or
Oh
something like that.
no.
He's just like, Daddy, get it away. And I'm like, it's just a bug, buddy. Just relax, because he's kind of exploring. We got a little bug net for him, and we kind of go out in the backyard and we try and find bugs and stuff. Because again, I don't want this kid to just become a vegetable in front of the TV and just, constantly watch TV. If it's a nice day out, let's go outside. Let's take a walk, or let's do something fun. And so now he's just like, Daddy, what is that? What is it? Get it away. And I'm like, it's an ant, bud. Like, relax. It's nothing, And then he like stomps on ants now. He's just like, Daddy, it's an ant. And just pounds it. I'm like, hey, okay, guy, just enough with the ant genocide. Let's
Too much
just
Godzilla, man. Too much Godzilla for him.
too much, way too much Godzilla. Absolutely. By the way, thanks for having me on again. I meant to say that at the start of the show. Yeah.
It's no. I appreciate you taking time out of, because the idea is like there's tons of options: Netflix, Amazon, whatever. It's like tons of hell, listening to the radio or doing a 24-hour pregame before tomorrow night's Bruins.
Oh boy,
I know, the stress. I could feel the stress like waves coming all the way down the East Coast.
It's trickling down to the south, I guess. I mean, I have no more fingernails to bite. They're all gone.
You're biting bone at this point.
It's like chewing sinew off my hands. Just like, I just turned into a cannibal at this stage. Oh man, I don't know if this is. I don't want to just break like
it hyperbole that you're like, I'll never watch a game again, or are you?
I don't. You've seen my tweets. Like I don't know, man. I've seen some. Being a sports fan in Boston, you've seen the highs, you've seen the lows. You've been around long enough. The past 20 years have been pretty awesome, but there's been some lows, and so I've experienced plenty of just like heartbreak and just, man, that sucks. In this instance, all the games that I've watched, the Blues have just been they flop and they hold and they take cheap shots. And I'm not saying that the Bruins don't do stuff like that. We've got a guy on our team. I say our team, but there's a guy on the Bruins named Brad Marchand, and he's a rat. You know what I mean? If he was on any other team, you would fucking hate his guts. But he's on our team, so we love him. So
yeah, I know the feeling, man. I know the feeling.
But it's one of these deals where St. Louis is just filled with these guys that just kind of like just holding and just cheap shots. And you saw the game the other night, and one of the guys got basically slew-footed, knocked completely on his ass from behind. They didn't call it, and that led immediately to a goal. And I'm not saying like, I don't know, I just like, it's, you don't want to lose to that. You know what I mean? If they lost to a hard play, perfect example, the Bruins played the Chicago Blackhawks in 2013. 2013 is one of my favorite Bruins seasons ever. And they lost the cup that year. They lost in 6 games. They lost in Boston in Game 6 to the Blackhawks. They lost. They gave up 2 goals in like a minute and 17 seconds. They were up, and then the Hawks tied it, and then they went ahead, and there was like no time left. It was just like, it was excruciating to lose that way. But they had a guy, Andrew Shaw, that was kind of a rat. He was like their Marchand, but the rest of the team, like, they played the right way. They played in a way that you could kind of, appreciate and say, like, okay, these guys play the right way. They're not scumbags. There was a hard fought series. Okay, fine. You know what I mean? You can't win them all. And, I was okay as much as okay as you could be with the Stanley Cup final loss. But this is fucking awful. I mean, I don't know. Will I never watch another hockey game again? Probably not. But I mean, probably.
It's just dirt, because they're going, because because I've been picking up a lot of it through osmosis. I've seen a few clips and here and there, because I've been working on my Neon Trash comic, and I just haven't I just been whatever is on YouTube or Amazon Prime that I've seen before, or like it won't distract me too much. I've been putting it on so I can work on it. Have something in the background, because like one of the local radio stations for some reason has been cutting out. It's like weaker than it normally would be, the signal, and it's old school. Like they do like 50s, 60s, 70s, but mostly like 50s and 60s music. I mean, so it's like I love that old retro shit, and like
me too.
You could find like channels like that on like Amazon or YouTube. There's something about hearing it through a radio sounds better than hearing it as an MP3 file or through a digital file. Or it's weird. It's hard to describe for some people. Like, what is that, you pleb, you analog pleb. but seeing how dirty, that this series has been. I'm thinking like, just bring back the chain link fence and the fights and the blood at this point. Just if it's gonna be dirty, bring it back all the way.
If they lose to these guys, I want Game 6 to be just like a bloodbath. If they're down to like 3 goals and it's just like, fuck it, just throw haymakers, just clobber a guy with your stick, just
pull his feet out from under with a stick and hit him in the back of the head.
Did you see the? I think I retweeted it.
The article?
It was like, no. There was a fight in the stands in Boston at the Garden.
No, I didn't see that one.
Oh man, it was so funny because there's this guy and he's wearing one of the camo Bruins jerseys and he's kind of like, oh come on, like you pussy, fuck you, and then he has a beer thrown on him, and then he just goes after this kid, and then another guy in another jersey, like they start fighting, and then all of a sudden the glass shatters and then it's the Stone Cold music from like WWE, and it's just these guys are just rolling around in their seats and just throwing haymakers, and and I'm like, how fitting is that? You know what I mean? How fucking great is that? It's just a bunch of massholes just beating the shit out of each other to Stone Cold. I was in love with it. It was great.
Well, that's what's so funny about like these. Like I've only been to one hockey game in my entire life, one hockey game in person, and it was like semi-pro. It was the Wisconsin. It was like Marquette, Michigan, for Marquette, Michigan. I forgot their team name, but it was the Green Bay Gamblers. It used to be called the Wildcats, but one of the Indian casinos bought out the Gamblers, and the Wildcats and changed it to call the Gamblers. Kept the logo and everything except for the name. And so you got this cat logo with the Gamblers instead. It's like, and he's got this little crazy eyes. So it's like, all right, just one more game, I'll make the money, and I can go back to playing the slots.
Oh, that's so funny.
Blackjack. So I go to this game. Before the game starts, I'm like, oh, there's rules. You leave. You can't. You have to wait until. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? Like this is some fucking opera. You gotta wait. Sorry, sir. The opera's being performed right now. I'm like, these motherfuckers are beating the shit out of each other. I should have walked down. And I had cheese curds before. Big gulp. I mean, like the fact that Wisconsin is a wonderful and almost kind of somewhat terrifying place, considering as many serial killers, and I'm prolific serial killers. Not some like, oh, he went on a shooting spree. I'm talking making people into lamps, sawing people's heads off, trying to make them into zombies.
Sure.
I mean, all that kind of shit. But if a lot of people have never probably been to Green Bay. Green Bay, it looks like the suburbs, but they have a national football team. They have a big fucking stadium.
Yeah.
And right next to that stadium is where they got an arena where they play hockey. And it was a Tuesday night in April, and I'm thinking, and there was some other stuff going on. So it only had like 2,000 people, and they're expecting, around 10. They only got like 2. And I'm like, I'm surprised they got even 2,000. I mean, there's like nobody in this damn town, this city of Green Bay. I'm thinking like between Green Bay and everywhere else is like dead zone. You just imagine and also it snowed the previous week, and there's like snow everywhere, everything like that. So you're getting, a very low crowd, but the Gamblers were not doing so good and realized they're not going. So they did exactly that. There was 3 fights. I mean, and this ginger kid playing for Marquette, I feel bad for him, but he fucked up and he got the helmet knocked right the fuck off of him, and he got his ginger hair bouncing back and forth as he's getting punched. And spill his blood. He has no soul. And I'm yelling this shit, and people looking at me like, oh, what the fuck? And I wanted blood, man. I got blood. I never thought I could see from one, because where I was at that was it the corner or close to the goal on at one end of the arena, and the fight was happening at the other end, the diagonal corner, and I could see the fucking blood spray out of this dude's face. Like, Jesus, it's like it reminded me of Mortal Kombat, like back, get over here. Like, I was expecting like some spine being ripped out. It was that bloody. I was like, I love it. I loved it. It was like, if the games were like this all the time, I would fucking watch every single fucking game. But because these guys are hungry, they don't have these big contracts. It's just like, I mean, the NHL, ain't much different than the NFL or NBA. These guys are still getting paid a lot of money. Yes, they're a little bit more grounded than the NBA and the NFL and everything, especially the NFL. But I want to see that hungry people that are out there. They're fighting for their future.
Sure.
Sometimes literally fighting for their future. Realizing their future's going down the drain. You're like, all right, you motherfuckers, I'll take y'all with me.
I remember a buddy of mine went to a Providence Bruins game, and he was like, the game kind of sucked. It was just like 1-0. And, they kept chanting, we want to fight. We want to fight. And eventually, I think it was like 2 minutes left of the game, the P Bruins were down, and then they were just like, fuck it. And they would have a little Donnybrook, and then like a bunch of, players just started swinging at the other guys. And they like gave a wave as they were all going off the ice. They gave a wave to my buddy's section because they couldn't tell who was chanting it, but they could hear it. And so he said, they were waving to our section to just be like, we heard you. We just wanted to fuck up these guys to make you guys happy. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've been to a game. I went the last hockey game I went to a Providence Bruins game with my wife, who was pregnant at the time. And, she'd never been to a hockey game. She really wasn't into it, but we had tickets and we're like, oh, let's just go. And, when you're pregnant women, they get hungry at just random times. It's just like, I'm craving this. I want to eat. I'm like, okay, well, we'll go eat. So we're in the food court and she's like, oh, let's just sit here. I'm like, in the food court? Like, we can just, take it back to our seats. No, I just want to sit here. I'm like, okay. And we're sitting there eating. They had scored. And I'm like, oh, my God. All right. Okay. Take it easy. And then she's like, okay, we made it back to our seat just before, the intermission. And then we're hanging out. And she's like, I don't feeling good. I want to get going. I'm like, I missed like 3/4 of the game. The only the
food court.
It was spending in the food court. I'm like, da 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 da. I'm like, oh my God, this is the worst. But that was a true story. I love my wife. I'm not going to trash her.
I know you love your wife. It is kind of funny. It's like like. When they're pregnant, I've not been married. I've not had a pregnant wife or anything like that. But I have been. I've been around enough pregnant women, work and otherwise, like work, family, and people I know, and I'm realizing like that person before they get pregnant. That person's totally different while they're pregnant and definitely different once they give birth. It's like being possessed by a demon.
Pazuzu.
I am Pazuzu. I want mayo and French fries. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? What is that? Pickles and mayo. That was the weirdest one. Pickles and mayo. I was like, oh God. Yeah. And I was thinking like, wait, ain't that kind of like a relish kind of thing already or something? Like you put in like eggs and those make me sick because I hate deviled eggs. Deviled eggs are like garbage. It's like it smells like farts. Like I told I don't eat eggs because I'll put eggs in mixes and like I'll make cakes. I'll make this, that, whatever. I'll make French toast because there's that kind of shit. Sure. But when you were eating deviled eggs or like scrambled or you sunny side up, it all smells like farts. It's like fart flavored marshmallows. and that's what it is. It's like this consistency of, well, you got to put all this extra butter and you got to put you got to make it an omelet. Or like,
you got to whip it up to make it taste good. Add a bunch of shit.
it's like alcohol. If you got to add, like, if you're gonna make it, like, put a little sugar and drink it with this, that, whatever to make it taste good, it's like, then something's wrong. Then something
Sure.
ain't right about it. It's like you gotta hide. You had to hide the medicine.
Yeah. Yeah. It was funny because I didn't really, uh, I wasn't really into eggs either when I was a kid. Like we never ate eggs. It was just, they were around, but like, I'm like, I'll pass. And mostly it was because of the smell.
Yeah,
It was like,
it stinks. It's
yeah.
like bacon can be weird too. Bacon can have like that weird smell, but like before it's cooked, like we're while it's cooking sometimes. But once it's cooked, I mean, oh my god, you cook it just
Oh,
right.
perfect.
Like I think there's people say, oh, the whole reason bacon got popular is because of like these egg manufacturers or pork manufacturers, like had all this like extra meat lying around. And it's like, they already, and people did bacon before. I mean, but you're in the middle, you're in Deadwood or something, and you gotta feed a bunch of people. You ain't gonna be throwing hog heads away. You ain't gonna be throwing this away, pig's feet. I mean, I told somebody the other day about, I said, hey, in your neck of the woods, have you seen pickled pig's feet? And they're like, what?
Yeah.
I said, he's around here still, you'll still see it. You go
Yeah.
into a shop, it's, not a big name shop, but a lot of smaller, kind of some mom and pop convenience stores and or places that sell, like, I don't know if I'd trust their deli section, but it's like, hey, we got some fried chicken. And I don't know if that's chicken or squirrel. It looks like it could go either way, but they have these jars of pickled pig's feet.
Yeah.
And
I've heard of it.
I never would eat it. I mean, I'd see people do it, like hey, give me a pickled pig's foot, and they go in there with that little like wax tissue paper thing. They get tongs, pull it out, unscrew it, pull it out, put it in a basically wax paper kind of tissue thing, and these guys would just eat it right off the hoof. And the only thing I can think of is like, man, you try doing that in the Middle East, you'd be looking like the Antichrist.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God. It's and I've heard of pickled pig's feet, but I mean, it reminds me of like a joke. It's Jackie the Joke Man. You know Jackie the Joke Man. And it was like, what's it? It's what's a Chinese gourmet meal?
What?
Rice and anything else.
That's the damn truth.
But they don't waste anything, and I think it's funny because it's like you go to Chinese restaurants and stuff, and like in Boston we have Chinatown, and it's like this. It's all the dumpsters smell terrible, but because you're in Chinatown because it's weird because like you see them and they don't waste any food at all. I mean they strip if they eat fish, they eat every ounce of the fish. And me as a kid, I'd look at them like that's disgusting. But I mean that's just their culture. That's just the way how they do it. They don't want to waste anything.
It's clean your plate kind of mindset. It's like
sure. But when I hear pickled pig's feet, I'm thinking, man, you can let those hog's feet go, man. You could eat it, because they're just walking around in slop and all that sort of shit, and you're just gonna, I don't know, I wouldn't.
That ain't the weirdest thing though. I mean, we do when I was a kid. My grandfather would do, of course, my grandfather would do pig pickings around 4th of July. We'd do family pig picking. Everybody get together, basically like a kind of family reunion kind of deal. Family, friends of family, stuff like that. People show up, and we get this big hog and be on the grill, and they get the whole hog, and they cut the head off, and usually the head, nobody to eat the head. There'd be somebody that might come through and like buy the head for a couple bucks or something, or they just give the head to them. It's like
some Norwegian black metal band wants to put it on the stage.
Put it on a pike,
Yeah, exactly.
There's
story is about Satan. It's just fucking weird.
Or some kids are trying to replicate Lord of the Flies.
Who's got the conch shell?
But uncle of mine, he's still alive. I don't know how. He's like, you want to see something cool? And I'm like, no, I don't. Even at that age, like, nope. Somebody says that, you walk away, And he goes and he grabs the pig's head, and I'm like, what is he going to do with this thing? And he gouges the pig's eye out and he eats it.
Jesus Christ!
And the thing about it is to hear that thing pop in his mouth
Oh,
and it was like, and then there's like a grin, and it was like this yellow shit all over his teeth. Like not to say I didn't get sick, but it's like right there at that border of getting sick.
yeah.
And the thing about it is, like, he was like, I'm gonna take that tongue later, I'm gonna fry it up on that grill, and you're gonna have some of that. I said, no, I'm not. I will not. And I actually was going towards the door that had the knives and stuff in it. And I opened up the drawer.
Yourself
Open up the drawer. Open up the drawer. Says, this will protect you from that. and my dad came in. I said, you better tell him to back away. And he's my dad's little brother, and so my dad basically was like, my dad found out what's going on. He's like, you ain't doing nothing. Get out of here. And it ran him off. And it was like, oh, thank God, Dad.
Yeah.
It's like,
Christ.
because it's like one of those things, like, there's people like, oh, respect your elders, this and that, whatever. I learned at a young age, you don't blindly give respect to anyone. No matter, just because they're old does not mean that they're wise. And like, hey, like roaches survive horrible things. People can as well, and cause a lot of horrible things in the process. So, blindly following is just not a good idea. Lazabar in the chat says, last Chinese restaurant I ate at, wasn't sure what was actually inside the wontons. I'm not sure pork is supposed to crunch when bitten into.
That reminds me, like, my wife and I went to a Mexican restaurant in our hometown. And this was a number of years ago. We went with my brother and sister-in-law, and we couldn't tell if what we were eating was chicken, beef, or fish. They handed chicken, beef, or pork, and they handed us all the thing. Like, is this yours? Is this mine? Like, what? It was this gray meat, and we couldn't tell what the fuck it was. It could have. If you can't tell if it's chicken, beef, or pork, that's a problem.
Run.
Run. And Mexicans kind of suspect anyway, You're just kind of like, oh man, you know what your ass is in for at the end of the night.
But I've never had that issue though. Like, there's a place I go to. I used to go to this place called Mazatlan. It was kind of apparently it's like a chain, semi-local chain of Mexican restaurants. And they had they had a little mariachi band that come around the table every now and then, play some music and all this stuff. It was kind of nice. But I went to this one called Hacienda. Apparently, I thought it was like a one-off kind of thing, but it's turned out to be a semi-local chain as well. And it's like the guy opens up like two or three others, like many miles apart, like 40, 50 miles apart. So like, you wouldn't know any better unless you actually went and looked for them. So I'm there, and I was like, oh my God, the place that this Mazatlan, the Hacienda opened up at used to be old Burger King that when I was a kid, I would go to. That's where I bought the Ninja Turtles VHS tapes from the old cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
I remember
there. Yeah. Yep.
And like all that stuff. It was like basically it was a place I used to go as a kid. And it was so funny because coming here as an adult and all like everything, they got the little bar. They got the bar over there. You got the Modelo. You got tequila. They got all types of alcohol back there. I don't drink, but it's like one of those options. You got the little daiquiris and have you this, that, whatever. And I'm over here, we're looking through the menu and everything, and I'm thinking the first time I was there, I was like, I don't know how the menu is going to be, so I give it a shot. The meat actually looks like meat. Tastes good. I've never had bad service there. Never had a bad meal there. Like there's like sometimes like the team, like you tell it's right there at the bottom of the thing, like the flavor might not be 100% because it's like, but it's still very good. It's better than like that McDonald's tea, which is like 100% sugar with a little bit of brown food coloring.
Right, exactly.
And there's good Mexican places out there, but there's a lot of them. Like there's some of them like vendors, like the metal trailers, like the little portable.
I will never.
Never. I will never. I don't care how hungry. I'll eat grass. I'll go and find a damn worm out of the ground and wash it off and eat that before I'd eat them things. It's like I'd be less likely to get sick from that worm because it's just disgusting. Those things. Sure. Look, you're driving around, you're mobile like that. You can't trust it. Like a little piece of paper says anything. Come on, who's looking at that piece of paper?
Right.
It's
bored of health. Yeah. They're bored. They're literally bored of health. They're all done with it. They just we need to be a little more adventurous. I'm bored of health. Let's just give people salmonella and E. coli.
Yeah, you need to lose a little weight by sitting on the porcelain throne. It's just like, dear God, but that's what's so funny about like these food places and everything. These like you get these newer places that open up, especially here. I have a dearth of you know, we call culture or taste around here. Like one of the biggest places to open up is another kind of chain, and people were like, apparently people on like their little Twitter thing were like kind of upset. It's like, why don't you bring one to Florida? It's a place called Cookout, and they do like they do burgers and fries and barbecue plates, chicken, milkshakes, all that kind of stuff. And I tried one. I had been to one of them twice. Had a milkshake one time and had like I think a milkshake the other and maybe something else. This place got cheese curds that taste like Wisconsin cheese curds. I don't know how they do it, but they got it down pat. The burgers, I'm talking, they got a half-pound burger. The damn thing's just a giant hunk of meat, and it's thoroughly cooked. You get it with chili and onions and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, they're gonna give me a heart attack. They got 30 types of milkshakes. You got your cherry peach cobbler, chocolate malt. I'm like, they're gonna murder me. They're gonna make my heart go boom, explode.
Yeah.
I'm gonna seize up the old engine. But it's I mean, that's the thing about it. Some of these places, like you go, I mean, the further north you go, you got really good restaurants, especially Italian restaurants. They give you way too much food though. Like even if you don't order the family style, even if you don't, I'm like, good God, people, can you give me like a half portion? They look at me and think, oh, he can eat it. It's like, just because I'm big don't mean I can eat everything on that plate.
Right.
It's like this is all stuff I just can't lose.
I've noticed that a lot with Italian restaurants up here. Like, if you order just order eggplant parm, and it's just like, did you like harvest like an entire eggplant plant?
Exactly.
And 400 gallons of sauce, and then just ziti just pouring out your ears. It's just like, there's no human in the world that can eat all of this. And I appreciate the portions. And it's just, but I mean, Jesus, I'm going to be eating this for the next 2 days.
Yeah. My grandmother took her out last time I was up around Christmas. I was up visiting with her and took her out to dinner at this restaurant she likes to go to, but she doesn't get to go out that often, because a bunch of my cousins and stuff, they're like a bunch of bums. Nah. It's like, they want to take her to Cracker Barrel. I'm like, no, you're not taking my grandmother to Cracker Barrel. I want my grandma to live.
I want her to live.
And we go to this restaurant, and I pick her up in my car and everything. Like, everybody has these low sit cars, but I have this I have a Saturn, and she's able to get in and out, no problems. Like that's the hook handle thing, because she's 94.
Oh, wow.
94 years old. So, but she still has color in her hair.
No shit.
There's a lot of gray and a lot of silver and a lot of white, but still got color in her hair. I was like, "You never dyed your hair, did you?" She said, "No, other people did, and I never did." It's like, but I'm like, she's got good genes, but she was also struck by lightning at like 12 years old.
Wow.
So she survived. She had to go close the barn door up, where the horses would get spooked and flee.
I've seen that movie.
Yeah, but well, she ended up getting struck by lightning on the way to the barn. The horses never got out, but she woke up in the field, and it's like kind of pout. It's like she should have died. That's usually
absolutely yeah.
So I was like, she's a very interesting person. A lot of people don't realize, like, she's a Southern girl. She was born in the mountains of Virginia. Killing game, killing rabbits, killing vermin, varmints and all that kind of stuff. Killing chickens. Learn how to. I mean, there was a time I was visiting her while she was up at the old family homestead, her own home, old home that her father built for his mother, his wife. I mean, sorry. That it was like the family gifted the land to. His name was Click. His given name was Click Arthur Green.
That's awesome.
It's like this, like 1890 something. He was born 1880, and he's like, he 18 because he was 92 when he died. So it's like 80. He died in like 88, 89. So that'd be
Wow.
Like the dude was, but 6'3". His wife was 6'1".
Oh, I remember. Yeah, you were talking about this with Mr. Marvel the other night.
Yeah, but the big, just tall people. You're not supposed to be that tall, especially, whatever. It's like maybe I don't know. Less, the less oxygen, the more they grew. I don't know.
It's like 5'4".
Well, there were also the minerals coming out of the mountain because all the water was coming out of a mountain spring behind the
Yeah.
house.
Oh,
So
wow.
maybe they probably had it better off than most people. And I remember I was up there visiting her, and I actually made dinner for her, my grandfather who was alive at the time, and her sister who has now passed on as well. And we're all making dinner for them in this kitchen that's basically been there for, dear God, at that point, like about 90 years. It's like really hasn't changed. It's like, some new stuff came in. The refrigerators do, and the sink's about 50 years old, 60 years old. It's like that old, heavy. They don't build stuff to last anymore. Things like fiberglass and like really cheap shit.
Right.
And this wooden stove is like 60 years old at that point. The old one apparently had a crack in the sidewall. It just eventually just gave up and cracked. But I went in there cooking, and I noticed in the bottom door of the fridge, the bottom drawer, there were some Tall Boy beer cans.
Yeah.
And I know that one of my cousins, which was my great aunt's, her sister's grandsons, would occasionally stay there and have he used to live there with them while he was going to one of the local universities. And it was like local university's like 45 minutes, an hour away, but better than staying. He'd rather drive back and forth than staying in town in the city or whatever. So he had beers in there because it was a whole family reunion thing, and so he bought a few beers at the convenience store. There was 3. I remember this. Made dinner, everything was that, and enjoyed the company. Night fell. I left, went back to where I was staying. Came back the next day. There was only 2.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather don't drink. He can't stand people to drink. My great aunt, she's like part of, at the time, she was a member of the Primitive Baptists. Like these people or at least she was, don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't do no foul language, none of that stuff. Like basically, like almost puritanical. There's only one suspect because I was like, nobody paid her a visit. I was the last person because I was there till late that night.
Yeah.
And nobody was like, you took one of those beers. She looked at me like, if you tell anybody, I'm going to kill you. And I was like, I won't tell nobody in the family. Everybody else is fair game because like I'm just imagining her just sitting on that porch in the rocking chair and just drinking this beer. It's because everybody's like they treat her like some like ended up in New Jersey, got married, had a bunch of kids and grandkids and great grandkids and all that kind of stuff. And so everybody thinks like, oh, she's just like proper lady of the suburbs, member going to church, part of these charities, helping out this, that, whatever, and not realizing she's a country girl, got struck by lightning, killed her own, could wield a shotgun by the age of 10. That kind of stuff.
Sure.
Like basically Ripley or Sarah Connor at a young age. It's like she's supposed to chill out, wants to drink a beer. It's stuff like that. People don't pay attention to that stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just that look in her eye was like,
that's awesome.
There's very few people that like they could like make me back down from anything. Like, all right, her and my godmother. That's about it. That's my godmother, but that's the thing. Like, you get these people. I mean, but there's strong people out there. These these strong, wonderful human people that happen to be women. But then you have Hollywood's take on them, and then you have something like Godzilla, King of the Monsters, which we loved.
We did.
But I think it had very little issues to a degree. I think you had like a little bit more. Mainly the queen of the monsters. I didn't mind. I didn't mind that part.
Maybe it was just the delivery. Maybe it was just like because I could just tell that that line was only in there to just be like, well, if any female is in the audience watching this movie, oh, we got you guys too. Don't think that we're over. This is just for the boys. Oh, it's the queen of the monsters. I'm like, yeah, we get it. We get it. Mothra's a girl. We get it.
I think they used that before, though. That in the movies or something along those lines. I think they, like that was, I think, a nomenclature for her previously because she's the only one to really. She got her own movie, then Godzilla versus Mothra, and then she got her trilogy of films. So it's like out of kaiju, I mean, she is the queen of the monsters. You know,
I agree, yeah, and I'm not saying that like
the way they delivered, yeah.
Yeah, it's just I'm not saying that it's bullshit how they did it. Oh, come on! Like I love Mothra, you know what I mean? I don't care, but I just thought the delivery was cheesy. And I was just like, all right, yeah, we get it. You know, she's the queen of the like you don't have to say like I don't know. I just felt it was just kind of like ugh. But that was like literally the only thing that well, there were a couple other little
it was the oh my god, and then Zilla, and then the gonorrhea thing, and that's it. Those are like, you excise them out of the film. Like, I love the part where you know, this is, if you haven't watched, if watching replay or listening to it live or just sitting there, whatever, if you made it past all the horrible things we've talked about, it's like, this is the purity test right there, folks.
If you turned it off after I ate the pig's eye, then I don't blame you if if you're still with us.
That yellow was not a bright yellow; it was kind of a dull, pussy-looking yellow.
Oh,
I know. I had to make it worse. I had to go in more detail. And that tongue was kind of grayish looking. It wasn't that pink, but I guess it's probably lack of blood. Probably when they slit the throat, or wherever they used a bolt gun or whatever.
Right.
They drained the blood out of the pig. It's like, you got to think that drained out the tongue. But this is kind of, I guess, this spoiler fill. Just go ahead and get that out there for Godzilla King of the Monsters, so you've been warned. But I like my little theory is the same thing with Game of Thrones. Another Game of Thrones, whatever, if you care anymore. But the way I looked at it, it's like both of these are ingenious, because it's like, you know, there's people like, oh my god, why would you want to watch Godzilla? It has no like characters, the humans. I'm like, no, the characters on the screen, they're the kaiju.
Right.
You know,
that's the only reason why anybody watches them, is because of the monsters.
Yeah, I don't give a. If that movie was entirely from the monster perspective, like the movie starts out like with the, you know, like so you have the camera in the view of like a, you know, let's say like a vista, like a town down, like a village or whatever, and then in comes from like side profile or from underneath the camera is the, you know, Godzilla's eye or a monster's eye, and you just follow for 90 minutes. Follow this monster's rampage and fights as the military's firing at him. You don't get to see no human perspective. Maybe from the ground, like if you were like a kind of like an independent reporter kind of feel, like, you know, like a camera moving through like a crowd of soldiers firing at the monster, but you don't get to. There's no human interaction. You see, like they're trying to evacuate people and it doesn't go right or something like that. I'd be fine.
It's my son stepping on ants in the backyard.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like, Daddy, what's that? Smash. But I'd watch the shit out of that movie.
Yeah, it's like, and the fact that most of these movies are now anyway, what, 90+% CG, even if they just use CG to enhance like certain scenes, like I guarantee those the sets were on the Argo, which I love the fact that they threw back to the old school, like the Super X from the Return of Godzilla 1984.
Yep.
They also have that thing. It's like the ship from it's not the Argo. What is not the Argonauts? What is it called? The one, it's the kaiju sci-fi movie that Toho did. It's like from like 1962, I believe. That's the one that has
Atragon.
Atragon, yes, Atragon.
Yeah.
It's like it's kind of similar to that. Like these like weird super ships and everything that can do special things. I love that. And like, I'm like, you would, when you think about it, it's like it is somewhat real. It is like a little bit unrealistic, but in that world where you're like, we can't just have standard military equipment. We got to go extreme.
Yeah.
Because like we're dealing with extreme targets, but you know, it's like with Godzilla, and I love the fact that it's like I'm watching it, like I'm even with those like really cheesy lines, and that bitch that was on her phone scrolling the entire fucking movie, and that right there, like people just like, somebody should come in there like Durant from Darkman, start cutting off her finger. So that's with the cigar.
The cigar cutter, yeah.
Oh god, but I'm watching, but you're seeing that film and everything, and it was like a roller coaster. I saw CG, but it's good CG. It made me feel like I was there. You could do that with people in suits to a degree,
yeah.
But then you have to give up some reasonable expectations. Like there's going to be limitations, and there's going to be certain things. But it was like a roller coaster. I was like, the music, everything was great. Hearing the Godzilla theme, hearing the Mothra theme,
yep.
All the little stuff, all of it worked perfectly. And then, but the overall message was, single mothers are bad for the world. the hippies who want to make the balance with the world are going to ruin everything.
Yeah.
Earth firsters who release the illegal alien, a literal illegal alien who goes on a rampage and murders hundreds. Because instead of like was Coach uh, was the coach from Friday Night Lights, was he okay in drinking and abandoning his family? No. But at least he didn't go on to murder tens of thousands, if not millions of people with giant monsters. He ended up just going and photographing wolves and being a lone wolf. He was a lone wolf. That's the, whatever. But then, the power of the old world get back together. It was great. It was like you have to let them fight.
Let them fight. I loved it. It was like the little kid me jumping up and down in a seat watching Creature Double Feature on Channel 56 on a Saturday afternoon. That's what it was for me. I mean, I read the reviews and it's just like, well, what did you expect? It's like, I don't understand where the people stand on LGBTQ. Where do they stand on the Paris Climate Accords? I don't understand. And no one's mentioning. I'm like, who cares? It's not about that. I mean,
they let the illegal alien go, and he starts making climate change worse. He's causing storms and like global catastrophe. He's like, we need to let the Earth heal itself. So let's let go. We don't know anything about these monsters. Let's let the illegal alien goes on a rampage and kills like chunks of the ocean, and it's great.
But I'm just like looking at this like the reviews, and it's just, well, what are you expecting? It's not about the people. It's about the monsters. And I loved it. I just thought it was cool. I mean, is it a perfect movie? No. But it's the perfect kind of go in, turn your brain off, enjoy the spectacle, and just have fun. And that's all I want, really. When I go to see the movies, I don't want to be lectured. I don't want to be told, I have to be maybe in the mood for it. But it's just, I'm not there for the story. I'm just there to watch monsters beat the shit out of each other and topple buildings and just be cool. Like I don't know, like that's all I wanted to get from it, and that's what I feel like I got from it. It was like it was as close to a Toho Godzilla movie as I've seen since Toho has made Godzilla.
Oh, exactly. It's homaging everything from the Showa era all the way up to the Millennium.
Exactly.
And even got bits of the Shin Godzilla in there too. I noticed that. Like I was thinking, like, this is some Shin Godzilla stuff right here. I like this. It's like really, it's like that ultimate terrifying stuff. Though thankfully didn't have the bureaucratic, like it didn't turn all West Wing on us. With a little too much. Like parodying the bureaucracy of Japan and the Western, and Western countries have that issue as well. But Japan, I guess, is a little bit more so. But watching the movie, I'll turn my brain off for certain things, and some things I'll just go in there. I'm like, okay, it's gonna live up to this expectation. No, not only live like the first 10 minutes are like, all right, that's probably even quicker than that. I'm like, all right, started living up to my expectations. And then and the only thing I can think of is like you got Charles Dance in that line from get Jack the Ripper and King Kong from Last Action Hero.
Last Action Hero, yeah.
So it's kind of funny. It's like because he's gonna be in the movie, the Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yeah,
but that's gonna just come out next year, and
I know.
It can't get here soon enough.
Yeah,
and I love the fact that they are not joking around with this stuff, and like this is the kind of movie like this movie, like I do almost see it as like a thumb in the eye to Hollywood, because it's like everything. You get these movies like going back to the '90s, like even. What do you call it? The kind of environmental message thing,
sure.
As much as I love Tron Legacy, it's like, there's a part where it's like, oh, the polar ice caps are melting, this, that, whatever. Tell it, the Flynn, because he's stuck on the grid for like 25 years or whatever, and it's like telling him about, it's like, it's yes, polar ice caps melting, that sucks, but what's worse? Everything freezing equals death.
Yeah.
Heat death is a bad thing. Yes, it's going to cause a lot of chaos. There's going to be a lot of horrible things. But at one point in time, they were able to make wine in the UK, in England. you know, and because it was so warm during like the 1400s or 1300s, it's like right after the Crusades, I believe. Like it was like the temperature increased, which meant, you know, good for some and bad for others. It's like you got to look at these salt flats and other stuff and environmental changes. Like it's everything's so fluid on the world. I mean, like here in North Carolina, some days it's like 99. One day it was like 99 degrees about a week and a half ago, and it's like 70 degrees, 80 degrees, 90 something degrees. It's all over the place. It's like, oh wow, that's, you know, climate change. What are we going to do? We're going to tell China, India, Pakistan, the rest of these like countries, like, no, you can't put that stuff out. Like they proved, they showed that thing. The Chinese are just pumping garbage into the atmosphere, at such an insane rate. What are we going to do? Go to war to stop China? You know, we're going to drop nukes on China to stop them from polluting. You know,
right? And it's almost just like, you know, it's you get a classroom full of kids, and you telling them all how shitty they are, and when it's just one kid pouring trash all over the floor. You know what I mean? It's just like two kids. And
in reality, it's like you got the kid that represents China and the kid that represents India, and they're always like fighting each other, even though they're not too far apart. The way they treat their own people, all the horrible things that happen. It's like, you know, you got like the Black Mirror nightmare that's China, where you got people going around snitching on each other with their little iPads and stuff. Like, oh, this person didn't park their car properly, we're going to deduct points from their social score. This person, like, they taking photos. Like these people. I was watching that the last season of the Grand Tour. You know, it used to be the Top Gear crew on the Amazon series. Okay. And they went to China, and like China's like building roads so quickly, but their roads they're building are like old school, like 1950s, 1930s roads. They were not designed to have drainage, like to drain off. So these roads are ponding up, and they got these cameras on these gantries that flash and take like basically every like 100 yards, like flashing to make sure people ain't having sex, people ain't on their phone, like doing illegal acts. Basically, you know, it's the, you know, police state. And and so you're driving at night in the rain with these like flashes like every 100 yards. And I was thinking, it's like, okay, I guarantee a lot of this is probably exaggerated for effect, but still, at that end of the day, it's like that would be horrifying to have experienced that. And then you look over at India, where you have this class war. Like everybody's like, oh, Gandhi fought for free. No, what the British were trying to do was say, hey, you to live in the rich house, you're no different than the person living in the gutter. You're all the same. And it's like the Indian Gandhi's like, nope. There's class. We have classes. We have, you know, we have different. It's like the you know, they have their little class system, their caste system.
The caste
like that person's,
system,
you know, and they don't want that broken up. And so that's like everybody like, oh my, he was a freedom fighter. No, he wanted to keep people down and sleep with his nieces and stuff. And that's, you know, you look at all that crazy stuff. But you look how them horrible reports coming out of India. You know, like these women being like raped. You know, and all this like horrible stuff that happened. Like there was some women that they were raped, and they went to a courthouse and they killed the guy. I was like, yeah. They pulled a death wish. It's like that, you know, or better. That's actually no. They didn't pull a death wish. They pulled a New Jack City. They pulled a Nino Brown. You know, they kill him in the courthouse. You know?
Oh man, that's so funny. It was. It's funny you bring up Death Wish because there's a Twitter account that I follow now. It's Charles Bronson tweets. Are you familiar with it?
Yeah, you've repeated it a couple times.
Yeah, oh, it's great. I love it. One of them, it was how much different would a certain movie be if they cast Charles Bronson? And then it was just like, I'll start. It was the guy that runs the account. It was like Ghostbusters. You know, just imagine if Ghostbusters had Charles Bronson and he was out avenging the killers, but like the ghost of his dead wife and kids or something like that. It was just like, but he didn't use a proton pack. He used a gun. And I tweeted, it was like Mr. Mom. You know, remember Mr. Mom? And it was like Terry Garr goes off into the workforce and Charlie and his kids go out and clean up the streets. And like, I would watch the shit out of that movie.
Yeah. You don't get it. I can't do a Bronson accent. He hands a kid a 22. It's like you work your way up to a 44. It's like a 22 revolver. He's like it's like
practice with jam. This. Yeah, exactly. This one jam. Oh,
Oh God,
I love Charles Bronson.
he like, that's the thing is like, he was one of these guys like I saw him back in the day. Like, you see him in as, like Outer Limits and stuff like that, and
Hmm.
he was uh, and then Once Upon a Time in the West, which I think that's the best Sergio Leone film. I know everybody's like they love Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and so as much as I like Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, I think it doesn't have the heart that Once Upon a Time in the West is. Like the whole part where like, oh Frank, like he's like, oh man, I'm
Hmm.
gonna have to kill him. You said my name, like that. It's like,
Oh
oh
yeah.
Jesus, it's like, and then the whole part where you get the little bits of the flashback and that
Hmm.
haunting music with the song
Yeah.
harmonica and that and then you see Frank walking in out of the desert and then he puts the harmonica and it's like you play your song play your brother a song and like and then
Yes.
he pulled back and I'm like, oh my God. And it's like because you're not going to not feel guilty about that,
Oh
you know
sure.
and it's like that right there. I was like, oh my God. And the fact that is just like everybody killed it in that thing. Everybody did such an amazing job. The guys wait, and the movie is like, we're gonna make you wait. Leone's like, I'm gonna make you wait at the station just like these guys are waiting. Like, the
Yeah.
flies are buzzing, the sweat's beating down, and then
Anticipation.
the anticipate and that the creaky boards, and they're like,
Yep.
they're kind of peeling up a little bit, and then here comes Charlie Bronson, and he just fucks everyone up, and the
Yep.
mechanic as well. Mechanic, I'm kind of glad they didn't do that the original script thing where him and Jan Michael Vincent are lovers. Yeah, that was like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, nah, thank you. I'm good on that. But I love that, this, he takes this kid under the wing and everything like that. I ain't gonna bother watching. I like Statham. I don't hate him like a lot of people do.
I don't
I'm
like.
not.
I don't hate him either.
I'm
I
not
like.
gonna watch that though. That remake, no.
It was on not that long ago, and I was just like, oh, should I watch that? Nah, that's because again, I'm not gonna because I have the original stuck in my head. I'm not gonna. I'm a little curious, but and they made a sequel to it, which I'm like, well, if they were true to the original movie, his character is dead. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Because
I love
Charlie Bronson
that.
died.
That's what's so great about that film. He's like, oh shit, they killed Charlie Bronson. Aha, he gets the last laugh.
He does. He does. And
Oh,
I want to just touch on something about
yeah.
Once Upon a Time in the West. In this day and age of just like we need strong female leads and strong women in film, I'm like, is there a tougher broad in a movie than Claudia Cardinale played in that movie?
And the thing about it,
Like, when you,
she played a former whore. She
yeah,
comes in and she comes into a bad situation. I mean, these like they're
the
basically almost like,
worst.
yeah, they're basically threatening like, we're gonna rape you if you don't give us what we want.
Right.
And it's just like this. And then the thing about this, she's like, I don't got much in this world. What I had was taken away from me even before she became a whore, and then after. I'm like, it's just beautifully done. And also she's just a
Oh,
gorgeous woman to look at. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
and it's like what's so funny is like you look at her and that Jane Fonda run around the same time while Jane was on an AA gun in North Vietnam,
Yeah, right.
and then you got called like these. Like, how can you compare? I mean, honestly, how can you compare like these? Like, when it's really unfair. It's like Jane Fonda looks like milk toast. Looks like someone. She's the epitome of white bread. It's like go do Barbarella. Get,
Right.
get one of these like get one of these actresses like Claudia Cardinale. But
Yeah.
but she just comes in there and like this. Like they're like, I'm sorry, your husband
Yeah.
and your stepson are dead because of a bad land deal.
Right.
They want your land, and they're gonna do whatever they have to do. But the
And
showdown was
then
great.
and then at the end of the movie, it's just like she's basically in charge of this new town. You know what I mean? And it's on her land, and she's gonna she went through hell, and now she's you know it's you could see the strength in just getting to where she is, and then Jason Robards is just like it basically kind of gives her just like you got this, don't let it get you down, you've got this. And then like that shot of her like going out and giving the workers water, and it's just like you leave and just like you see her character go from one thing to another. She had a past, and then you go see her go through all this shit, and it's just like that's real character development. Like
exactly.
that's a real strong, independent woman, and that's
and a character on top of it. She's a strong character who happens to be a strong woman who doesn't have this, who's had things, who has had so much taken from her, who's thrown into the deep end. She gets there, and it's like, I mean, shit, like you're thrown into that such a deep end at the start of the film, and then you get, I mean, as much as I love, the Man with No Name trilogy,
yeah,
and as great as they are, I mean, I can't, it's tough for me to say, but it's like the music's better, the direction's better, the characters better, the acting's better, because everything, it just seems like the Man with No Name trilogy sometimes feels like a kind of a stage play almost.
Well, it's also it's a remake. So when you look at Fistful of Dollars, it's
a Yojimbo.
Exactly, and so you got to think of it this way. It's just like with Once Upon a Time in the West. To me, it's a perfect movie. I can't say enough about it. It's long, but if you I don't mind the length of the movie because the characters are so good. It doesn't at all, to me at least. I can't say enough. It's one of my favorite movies, if not my all-time favorite movie.
To me, it's up there with, like, I have a couple favorite movies. It's like Once Upon a Time in the West. Like it's kind of fluid. It's like my number one is usually it bounces back and forth between RoboCop and Blade Runner.
Yeah,
and when I say Blade Runner, I mean like the final cut. I'm talking the voiceover. Harrison Ford's, I just got to do this voiceover because the studio told me to. You know that?
yeah,
and that kind of stuff. And that RoboCop, Once Upon a Time in the West, and there's probably I could probably pull some other stuff, but that's like it's like within like the top 10, top 5. Those are the main three. Those are like three that usually stay there, no problem at all.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of a 2 sci-fi, 1 western.
Yeah, for me, it's Once Upon a Time in the West, Punisher '89, and Highlander 2. I think those were my. I'm just kidding. Like Highlander 2, like
Highlander 2.
I do love Highlander 2. I'm not gonna lie.
What Highlander?
Oh, I love Highlander. I love all of them. I'm not gonna. Well, maybe the Source. The Source makes Highlander 2 look like Gone with the Wind.
But what about the anime movie?
It looks like Highlander. Oh, I didn't like the anime movie.
You didn't? Okay.
Well, I'm not a big anime guy. I should, some people love it. I don't think it was terrible. I mean, the animation's cool, but it just it never really felt like a Highlander movie to me. It's like, I don't know. I own it. I've seen it a few times, but I don't know. It's not really in my wheelhouse, so I just kind of, it's there. What about the animated series? Did you ever watch the animated series?
I did not. Thank Christ. I avoided it. I dodged that one.
I watched that when it was out because I was like a huge Highlander fan. It was like 94, I think, 94, 95 when that came out. Oh, I ate that up. I'm like, oh man, it's after school. Highlander is gonna come on, and I would watch. It had nothing to do with anything. It was god awful, but I just I remember. Even then, I knew I didn't like it, but I watched it anyway because it was Highlander. And then I remember there was a kid in school who's like, "Yeah, I kind of like that show." I'm like, "Fuck you!" Just kind of gave him shit for it. Meanwhile, I'm watching it. You know what I mean? I'm like, hypocritical jizz bucket I am. I'm watching this show that I fucking trashed this kid for watching. But I think I've watched a couple of YouTube clips of it. Maybe I don't know. I'm kind of curious. I still would like to maybe check it out now that I'm a little older.
It's probably not the the probably best representation of Highlander, but probably nowhere near as bad as like what was the last one again? The Source, yeah.
Oh, Island of the Source. It's just really fucking bad.
Sci-fi channel.
It was. Yeah. It was the Sci-Fi Pictures original. Oh my god!
When you hear that. That's and the worst part. It used to be like you can't say like, oh, the strap in fellas, this is going to be a bad movie.
Yeah,
it's just
it's a bad movie.
Yeah, it's not funny bad. It's not oh my god, these people! It's like Mortal Kombat Annihilation can be almost funny
Yeah,
bad. It can be
exactly.
James Remar and taking over for Christopher Lambert. You have
He's
Brian
acting
Thompson.
like a monkey.
He's fighting like a and he gets a buzz cut.
Yes.
Like what? What are you doing? What are you doing here? And then you got the actress playing Sindel. You will die. You're like, what? What is this? You have Malibu from American Gladiators as Mintaro.
Yes.
Oh god, it's so awful. It's such an awful film, but it's not like Street Fighter is bad, but it's that good kind of bad because everybody's they did it in a hurry and everybody's on drugs.
Yeah, Jean-Claude Van Damme. But it was just like Highlander 2 to me is a fun bad movie. You know what I mean? It's just like I can watch that and have a blast watching it and just giggle and we're like, man, it's like, And again, I've told the story before. Like it was the first Highlander movie I'd ever seen. And I remember there was a kid that lived behind me, and his name was Billy. He gives me a call, and he was like, hey, do you want to go to the movies? I'm like, sure. What do you want to go see? He's like, Highlander 2, it just came out. I'm like, all right, let's go. So we walked to the movie theater. I can't believe I'm telling the story again, but whatever, it's a good one. We walked to the movie theater, and he's telling me all about Highlander 1, because I had never seen it. Had no idea what is Highlander. He's like, there's all these immortals and they're fighting and they behead each other. And Queen, he was telling me all about the music by Queen. And I'm like, dude, this sounds fucking awesome. And he's like, it is. Oh, man, it's going to be so awesome. I can't wait. And so we get there and we sit down and we watch this movie. And I'm thinking, like, it's Highlander 2. So this picks up where the second one left off. And I thought all this right. I'm thinking all this stuff on Zeist was like either like had something to do with the previous film, and it's just like, oh man, like this is like Dune, this is cool. And then they send the porcupine assholes back and the hoverboards, and I'm thinking like, oh man, these guys are kind of cool. Like I'm digging this. It's to me, it felt like Blade Runner or Dune, all these movies that I remember watching as a kid.
Masters of the Universe.
Masters of the Universe, exactly.
Yep.
And so I'm like, I'm all in, like all in. And yeah, were the special effects good? No. Was the acting good? No. But it was just like with it very bad editing, yes. But I mean, like for like 13-year-old me, I was eating it up. And I remember we left, like the lights come up and we go to leave, and I'm like, so what do you think? He goes, that was the biggest piece of shit I've ever seen. That movie fucking sucked. I'm like, what are you talking about? That was awesome. Like I couldn't wait to see like the original Highlander. It was actually after the show came out was like I finally watched the original Highlander. But that was like,
so your Highlander experience basically is Highlander 2,
Zeist.
the Adrian Paul TV show.
Yep.
And then you got to see Highlander.
That's it.
Oh my god! What an ass backwards! It's like falling through a barbed wire. Or it's falling through broken glass, then barbed wire, then broken glass, then ending up in a nice, comfy mattress next to a supermodel. It's like
right. It's like eating a pig's eye, pickled pig's feet, and then strawberry ice cream.
It's just like what? What's going on here? Oh my god! I remember seeing it like back in the day, like at a young age. My dad was working at a nuclear power plant down in South Carolina. Actually, we were living in South Carolina, and within like 5 miles is the border for Georgia. He's working down this nuclear power plant in Georgia. It was basically close enough to South Carolina, whatever. And we're like deep south, like it, not too far from the area where they filmed the first Swamp Thing.
Oh, cool.
Thing too, because like that very swampy South Carolina area, because it's easier, I guess, to get there than like middle of nowhere, Louisiana.
Did you see a truck driving by with a little shirtless kid peeking out?
You don't know Jim Kipp is going on. That is the great. Anybody that says that Swamp Thing show is horrible and it's boring and it isn't, and it's like you're gonna watch that. The monsters are great. Arcane's great. The mullets are everywhere. The costumes are great. And it's like, how to get rid of annoying kid character? You sell them into slavery. And never heard from. You might have a blurb oh, he's okay now. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, did you tell the mom? It's like, he's in a nice home in South America as a
Yeah.
slave. But
Exactly. He had Miss Cleo give him a reading to
it's
give
Miss
the mother.
Cleo.
Call me now for your free reading. Your son Jim, he okay?
he at rest now. He's a pile of bones. Oh no! But no,
Oh,
but we're down there, and because my dad working nuclear, working, being an electrician, working at a power plant, everything like that. For some reason, they had cable down here in the middle of nowhere, South Carolina. I guess because the power plant and so if stuff around the power plant is kind of built up a little bit, so they
sure.
had access to cable. So we had like HBO and all that stuff. So I learned at a young age, just like put a blank VHS tape in and record movies, and I
Oh,
could watch
nice.
them back anytime. And Highlander was one of them, Monster Squad, Beetlejuice, Better Off Dead, all that kind of stuff. And so when I saw like Highlanders coming on, because sometimes Highlander, like, oh, what's this? It's like I remember putting the tape in, recording it, and I think I took a nap or something. That came back, and watch how, and that whole because it's like the Kurgan scare that scene, like just from kid to now, it still has like a little, maybe it's a little that little nostalgia thing. But when uh Roxanne Hart's character, I forgot the police. She's the consultant for the police.
Yeah,
When
Brenda.
Brenda, yeah, when she's firing the gun at the Kurgan, and the Kurgan it ain't affecting him at all, and he's just
Yeah,
like marching through her apartment, and that camera's behind, and she's like scatter and run. She's trying to
yeah,
get away from, and that's just it's like that's some Jason Voorhees. To me,
it
that's
is.
scary to anything Jason ever did, because Jason's like, oh, I killed Cam. Yeah, Kurgan's just cutting people in half. He's fucking everything up, running people over. He don't give a shit. He is
No,
he ain't Kurgan. He's the Kurgan. It's like
yeah,
this motherfucker killed every other one to become the Kurgan, the last one. And it's like Clancy Brown just does such a good job. Harassing the nun. Hey, ladies.
nuns, no sense of humor.
Yeah, I love
Hello,
it.
ladies. Nuns, no sense of humor. I love that line.
Man, it's such a good.
Ramirez was an effete snob. I took his head and raped his woman before his blood was even cold. Meanwhile, I was like in a church. You know what I mean? Just like
No,
these people,
no chill. No
none
fucking chill.
loved it. Yeah. Oh man, it's one of my all-time favorite franchises. I've seen. I mean, outside of the Source, which was a Sci-Fi Pictures original, I've seen all but the first one in a theater. I saw Highlander 2 in a theater, Highlander The Final Dimension, and Highlander Endgame in theaters. So it's just, and then there's talk about a remake. I don't know how much you know about it,
They've been
but the
talking about it for
guy.
a while, though, haven't they?
Well, I guess the most recent news is that the guy that's been doing the John Wick movies,
Mm-hmm.
John Stahelski, he's currently at the moment attached, and like I guess he's a big fan, and he's even a fan of the TV show. So he wants to try and take elements from the whole Highlander universe and and he wants to make a trilogy of films. So he doesn't want to just make one and see how it does and then just keep going. Like he wants to make at least three and have it all kind of connected, which is what the series. I don't think they ever really envisioned it to be a franchise. I mean, because that like the first one, obviously, it ends pretty decisively. You know what I mean? I don't
Yeah.
know how you make a sequel unless you make a prequel. But it was kind of like this. The franchise just kind of kept taking little detours in here and there. But the way that I understand it is that he wants to make at least a trilogy of films and have it, just all interconnect, and then have like obviously Connor McLeod be the victor at the end. But it's just I kind of like it, and he said what he's saying is he wants to do to Highlander and sword fights what John Wick is to gunfighting, which I think is kind of
I
I
don't
don't
like that,
know.
though. Because here's the
I
thing.
kind of don't either because I don't want it to be too flashy. I want it
John
to
Wick
be gritty and yeah,
John Wick ain't gritty, though. John Wick is mechanical. It's, this is the proper way to hold the gun. This is how you do the gunfight. You stab, you turn around. It's John Wick is overrated. It's boring.
I like John Wick,
Give
but
me
it's okay.
hard boiled. Give me two
Yeah,
guns flying through the air. Yeah, give me like like I was watching some while I was working on the comic. I was watching old Best of the Worst, and they did a movie called High Voltage. It's got Antonio Sabato Jr., Amy Smart,
Okay.
Antonio Sabato Sr., and it got uh, uh, fucking Johnny Lawrence from Karate Kid.
Oh, William
Billy Zabka.
Zabka.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's in there too. And that movie, like that, it's like this standard, straight up, direct like VHS action movie called High Voltage, and they got the Indiana Jones sound effects for punches and gunshots. So
I
everything's
love
like with a really hard, and I was like, that right there is 100 times better than John Wick. And I'm just like, just work, and I'm like, because John Wick was just so like, it's got style, it's got no substance, because it's like, yes, it's like, oh, it's the it's their standard revenge thing, but it's like, oh, he got the dog, his dead wife gave him the dog, and they killed the dog, so he's going to go on a rampage and this, that. And I'm like, it was so, to me, like, it was like paint, the paint by numbers, like, here, kids, don't draw, here, fill in the colors, by, that kind of thing. It's a coloring book for adults.
Right.
John Wick is a coloring book for adults. There you go. I said it. It's just straight up like that.
I don't know. I think it's kind of, to me, it's. I grew up watching just ridiculous action movies, and so to me, it's a ridiculous action movie. It's just like it doesn't take itself too serious. And I'm not even a Keanu Reeves guy. Like, I mean, he's okay in some stuff, and there's other stuff that I'm not a big fan. But like him as John Wick, I can kind of be like, all right. I don't know. I again, to me, it feels like a movie that's probably 20 years too late, and especially in this climate, which I don't know. They don't make them like that anymore, and so I'm a little bit more appreciative of it. But I hear what you're saying. Again, it's not perfect, and it's not. I love like old, I love like shitty '90s action movies. You know what I mean? Just like when you tell me like, oh, it's got an Antonio Sabato Jr. and I'm like, oh, dude, I gotta write this down. Like, what is it? There was a movie, one of the best worst action movies I think I've ever seen was with Thomas Ian Griffith and Tia Carrere. It's called was it? Oh fuck, what was the name of it? Not Hollow Point, but it was like not Point Blank. Maybe it was Point Blank. When I think of Point Blank, I think of Lee Marvin. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, Point Blank.
I have not
Lee
seen.
Marvin.
I haven't seen that with Lee Marvin. I'm not seeing a lot of Lee Marvin films. It didn't get around much on standard TV for me.
I can't recommend Point Blank, the Lee Marvin '60s movie, enough. That movie is fucking awesome. It's basically. Did you remember the movie Payback with Mel Gibson?
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, he's like a crook that gets fucked over by his partner and his wife, and then he wants his like 60 grand or whatever it is, like whatever his cut, which isn't a ton of money, but it's just like he goes through all these people, and there's a great James Coburn played him in the remake, but Carol O'Connor plays the guy, like one of the in between guys. And it's just like, oh, it's Carol O'Connor, so he's just doing a great job. Lee Marvin is just, you can't take your eyes off him. He just like commands the screen. He's just like exudes like testosterone. The guy, I just fucking love it. If anybody out there has never seen Point Blank with Lee Marvin, I highly recommend. Larry, I'm telling you, it's an awesome movie.
I'll see if it's on Amazon Prime. Because if I watch it for free, I'll choose to watch it for free, because there's a lot of movies in my queue that I have to rent. There's one, Buddy Daniel Velez, creator of the Red comic.
Oh yeah, of course.
He's a fellow East Coaster. One of the few New Yorkers I like. But I think he's like one of the outer boroughs. But he told me about this movie called Ricochet. And I'm like, that sounds familiar. It's Denzel Washington versus John Lithgow.
Oh, and yes.
It's directed by I believe it's Russell Mulcahy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's written by Steven D'Souza for Die Hard, Commando, Street Fighter.
Oh, geez.
In the movie, the trailer has like John Lithgow holds this woman hostage, and Denzel Washington's a cop. He comes up, he said, "Drop that gun, drop the gun." It's like, "How got no other gun?" See, Denzel Washington starts stripping, basically strips down to his boxers, puts the gun down, and it's like, only the weapon I got on me is only for the lady, that kind of thing. It's like that,
Yeah.
it's like whatever. And then he pulls the gun out and from behind his waistband, and I guess got tape to him, kind of John McClane style, and takes down John Lithgow. But because he takes down John Lithgow has a grudge against him. So eventually he gets out, starts causing all this trouble and this and that, whatever. And it's like over the top. It's like that was really cheesy, over the top 90s movies. It feels like. Downside is like the only way you can watch it is get the free Cinemax trial on Amazon Prime, because only streaming through them. You can't even rent it. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I don't want to buy the DVD just in case whatever. And I was like, come on. But stuff along those lines. That really cheesy 90s stuff to me is better than this paint by numbers, glossy. Nemesis by Albert Pune.
Oh, that's great.
With
Olivia Gruner or something. Yeah.
The movie just cyborgs, heads blowing up, arms getting blown off, people getting shot to shit, dogs getting killed. I mean, it's like John was, I'm going to revenge. Like, this dog gets mutilated, and then he fights a fucking endoskeleton on the back of a fucking helicarrier.
That movie's dope.
I love it.
With the movie I was going to mention, though, with Thomas Ian Griffith and Tia Carrere, Donald Sutherland is in this movie too, and it's bananas. It's just it's almost like a comedy, and I think that they wanted to play some comedy, but it just it doesn't work at all, and it's just it's so bad that it's good. I forget that. I think it's Point Blank, and I'm not. Don't hold me to it. I'm gonna look it up. I've only seen the movie maybe once or twice, but it's burned into my brain. The end of the movie, they're Tia Carrere is shooting at his feet, at Thomas Ian Griffith's feet, and it's just and it's supposed to be a big goof. It's just but I'm you're firing a weapon at somebody. You know what I mean? It's just what are the ricochets that shoots his fucking pinky toe off? What are you doing? It's so bad. And then he goes to those movies where the garage door or the overhead door is kind of closing, and he just slides or kind of rolls under the door just in time. Well, in this movie, he doesn't make it. He bashes into it. He's like, fuck it, forget it. And he gets up and he finds another way in. And I'm it's awesome, but it's terrible.
This is Ronan in the chat mentions this is something out of a movie channel film or something from Cinemax, because HBO would never have these kind of films. Cinemax, movie channel would, and Mitchell Coleman's finally sort of watched the Cyborg movie, the one with Jean-Claude Van Damme, and it's what the fuck did I just watch, Larry? I was you watched a great film filmed in North Carolina. Albert Pune it was kind of a lackluster thing. They watched it, and John Claude's I'll come in there and I'll re-edit it and stuff like that, and I think he did kick a guy's eye out or something. He fucked the guy's face up. It's North Carolina is apparently known for people getting their eye fucked up. Stephen King, when he directed Maximum Overdrive, also filmed in Wilmington, North Carolina. Same thing with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, Super Mario Brothers, The Crow, a lot of programs and stuff. Blue Velvet, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Domestic Disturbance, the one with Vince Vaughn and that Vince Vaughn movie. Travolta? Yeah, I think it's Travolta in that too. But it's the Maximum Overdrive. There's a part where the controlled lawnmower comes after shoots a piece of wood, and it hit the cinematographer right in the eye and blinded him.
Jesus.
Permanent blind. I was I'm thinking a spike of wood in his face. And then same thing when John Claude was doing a kick and he was a little too close. So yeah, it's funny, these North Carolina films and stuff. And apparently that's what in the chat they were talking about, how the Swamp Thing show is supposed to be 13 episodes, the DC streaming app. One? Yeah, the new one coming out, which it doesn't look as good. Apparently, I do like the fact that it's they ain't messing with it too much, but it's they're dumping the chemical in the swamp, and it's Jason Woodrue, the Floronic Man in the comics. So it's his chemical, and it's maybe that's what's going to cause that in the swamp, and explosion. Going to cause Swamp Thing, and and Swamp Thing's kicking ass. Okay, that'd be fine. like I don't like the fact that Abby don't have the white hair. I know that's weird, but like, whatever.
Yeah.
That's a weird complaint, but I'm just like, whatever.
Same here.
It's like in this day and age, white hair ain't no different. I've seen people in their 20s that have bleached their hair white, like that silver look. I'm like, fuck, man. People got purple, blue, green, no hair, half shaved. I'm surprised they don't got like spikes screwed into their skull.
Right.
But it's just odd. But but they, it's tax reasons, this and that, whatever. But the movie with Ronan mentioned in the movie channel, did you ever watch Joe Bob Briggs back in the day?
Oh, I love, the fucking Monster Vision.
Monster Vision, like I've been binging that. Some wonderful human being has been putting up, and it has to be recently, or maybe they just started popping up in my searches. Because sometimes you'll search on YouTube, you won't find what you're looking for. You search like a month or so later, you'll find it for some reason. Somebody has been putting up whole Monster Vision episodes that include the movie and all the bumpers Joe Bob would do.
I have to watch this.
Now, some of them, like some of the movies, I'm not too keen. Like the bigger name movies probably won't have, like you wouldn't have The Fly doing it, because also be the TV edited version of The Fly.
Yeah.
But there are some of them, but all the little segments and stuff, like to hear him, his little commentary and stuff. And he did one the other talking about how like the TV version of Buffy was, is inferior to the movie version, because the movie version, she's like straight up bimbo. He still kicks ass, and he took the bimbo part away from her. Which, when you think about it, that kind of takes away part of her most of her character. Sure. Her name is Buffy, and I'm a vampire slayer. That kind of stuff. And that's the whole. And it's a kind of inspired by the Kelly Maroney from Night of the Comet. Because the cheerleader character from that and everything.
That's a great movie too.
And it's like, and the dude from Iron Eagle is the dude Notcher from Iron Eagle. He's like,
is it?
Yeah, that's the guy's like, she's like, oh, I'm not a whore. You can pay me $20. I'm just paying $20 to be here, not the bang. And it's
is that him?
That's him. Yeah.
Oh wow.
He was also in he was in also in Breaking Bad. He was one of the bad guys in latter seasons of Breaking Bad. When like
oh no shit.
Yeah, he was also he was Buck from Kill Bill.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yes. Yep. Okay. Now, yeah. That's
and that's another Top Gear, Top Gun. Iron Eagle is a series that, like, it went way longer than it should. Like the movies, like you think, oh, it bombed and everything like that. They had like 4 movies.
They did.
The second one's really weird. The second one's basically just a plot to like one of those like 1990s 8-bit, 16-bit flying games. It's like, you need to take out this nuclear, the Soviet nuclear facility. If you don't, too many people will die. It's a joint operation, or a Middle Eastern nuclear facility, and it's you team up with Russians, the Russian planes, and this and that, whatever. It was so dumb. The second one was so dumb, but I love that kind of stuff. It's like the really dumb movies. You don't get those anymore. It's either dumped on Netflix, or we got to dumb it down for the Chinese market.
Yeah,
come on, give me a break.
It's funny. You had mentioned Monster Vision, and one of my. I used to watch it periodically. I didn't watch it every week, but if there was a movie on that I'm like, oh, I like that movie, and I'd watch it. One of them was Swamp Thing, the Wes Craven.
Yeah, the original.
Yeah, the original. And he was talking about Adrienne Barbeau and her famous scene when she was in the swamp, and she, we all know why we love Adrienne Barbeau. It's not her acting. She has 2 very valuable assets. So when she's in the swamp, and Joe Bob was just kind of going on and on about it, he's like, yeah, we had to. If I remember correctly, he was like, yeah, sorry. He basically apologized if they had to blur him out, and I just remember like, yeah, Joe Bob is the best, man. And he's got a new show out.
They're bringing it back. They're bringing it's like, I guess it's gonna be like a semi-yearly thing over on Shudder, the horror channel.
Yeah,
and they did it like once or twice, and it's like, this dude is like, I know everybody's like that, they like Elvira, they like Svengoolie, and all this other stuff. I never really liked Elvira Svengoolie. The main reason, because they would interrupt the movie. Like, yeah, he'd have the commercial breaks, but he wouldn't like be inserting himself in the movie, and he wouldn't be making fun of the movie. he would just be like, oh, he'd like maybe rag on it a bit. It's like, like, what is that? That kind of thing. He'd be like, just making little jokes, but appropriately. And apparently, because I don't have Shudder, I'm tempted to get it once they come back around.
Yeah.
And then like watch all the old stuff and then watch the new stuff too. But where like apparently one of the clips or somebody put one of the things from Shudder up on YouTube is like where he says like before the movie starts, like we're going to be interrupting the movie occasionally, like do a kind of commercial breaks.
Yeah.
So you put a little commentary, which is like that's great because like if you had to wait to the end of the whole movie, it might but he'd just like pop up every now and then, like comment on like something you just saw or something along those lines. That's cool. It's like having running commentary, kind of, sort of. And you don't get this stuff nowadays. I mean, like everybody's like, how many YouTubers do like videos like that? Oh, I'm gonna do a movie reviewer on YouTube. That's that's the cottage industry for a lot of these people.
Yeah.
But you don't have that. You don't. There's that. He had a character. It was funny, and like the one where like they're talking about Joe Bob, you can't say that as what midget, calling them midgets and stuff, and it's like just like 20 years ago, and like how much has changed and everything. And
sure.
It's like all the little like politically correct nature, and how he brought up he was talking about they're watching Misery, the Stephen King film.
Sure.
And he talks about how Stephen King is like even though he was in the Stand movie, he's like a little role as like one of the like sheriff's deputies or something in the Stand.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, Stephen King is a male feminist, and I'm like, he called it years ago. And you're talking about all this stuff, and it's like, oh my god, it's so bizarre. And like you see the writing on the wall. It's like even back then, it's like, what's a man, what's a woman, who's this, who's that kind of stuff. And it's like, oh my god, it's like we were warned, but we didn't pay attention.
Joe Bob tried to fill us in, and we were like, oh, isn't he funny? He's like, no, listen to me.
Yeah, it's so funny to see like these old films talked about in like a reverential way, because Joe Bob cares about the films. A lot of these people, like, they'll just all they're doing is ragging on it, and it's like, you see a lot of this stuff, and it's like almost like curating the movies. And luckily for me, with movies I didn't stumble upon myself. I've been suggested very good films, but these days it's like more people know about the bad films, like The Room and
Birdemic and shit like that.
Birdemic and stuff like that, than actually good films. It's like, oh yeah, what's Apocalypse Now? And I'm like, what? You never like they used to show Apocalypse. I remember it was like Sunday dinner at my grandparents' house, and like the CBS Sunday movie was Apocalypse Now. Yeah, and my grandmother hated because of that trailer, because they showed like 2 or 3 times that day. It was a trailer because they used one of the scenes from when the Playboy bunny, the Playboy bunnies are on and she hated that. It's like it's like being in the South, very 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 Christian. That's unchristianly, like
the horror, the boobies, the
so
boobies.
Good. That movie seems much sleazier than it actually is.
Yeah,
for the most part, but it just really isn't. It's a bunch of guys on a boat. It's like it's a bad fishing trip.
Right. It's Deliverance.
It's Deliverance. Well, minus squealing like a piggy.
Yeah, right. You mentioned Svengoolie a little while, like Elvira and Svengoolie, and one of the things, so I watched Svengoolie. Like my son, who's 4. He and I watched Svengoolie, and part of it is like the old classic Universal monsters. I mean, they're not really terribly scary, and compared to like Freddy and Jason and shit like that, they're just kind of like just running around chasing people around, and if somebody dies, it's always off screen, and or like Lon Chaney is the Wolf Man. He just kind of bumps up and runs after somebody and growls. Nothing like, so he'll sit there and watch it, and then we'll watch Svengoolie, and he'll have like little jokes and stuff, but then he'll like do like a little bit of the history and the people that star in the movie and what they did or what they're known for, what they did before and after the movie, and it's just kind of stuff like these little history lessons. And so my son knows, he knows who plays the Wolfman, who plays Dracula. You ask him like, hey, who played Frankenstein? He goes, Boris Karloff. And it's funny because he knows some of the presidents, but he doesn't. He knows exactly
It's
who's
more the
played all.
monsters.
He knows the monsters. He knows who played the Universal monsters. But the thing of it is, like, we don't watch the movies. We'll watch like the trailers. If you go on, like, we've got Comcast, so it's just like if you go uh, hit movie info, you can watch the trailer, and it's just like this little black and white, and it's all words. So I have to kind of narrate it for him because he can't read, and so it's just kind of funny. Like he likes these old monster movies from the '50s, and The Creature from the Black Lagoon is his favorite.
Oh, really?
And yeah, he loves it. And so we watched the Svengoolie episode, and he was just all about it. He's like, "Daddy, can we watch Svengoolie?" And I know exactly what he means when he says, "I want to watch Svengoolie." He wants to watch Creature from the Black Lagoon. So, yeah, it's funny you mentioned him, and I never I watched him off and on, but now that he and I, the little guy and I watch it every week. Well, depending on the movie, there was one with a couple of weeks ago with Joan Crawford where she like decapitates some guy, and it was pretty. Like, we're not gonna watch that one, buddy. It's just it was not a couple of weeks ago. It was a few months ago. But anyways,
It's funny, like these, watching these movies and everything like that. Back in I mean, now it's like it's an embarrassment of riches if you want to watch these movies. When I was a kid, I was at the mercy of whatever's on over the air. And
that's
then when
right.
we got cable, like, because we had cable at this like really single wide trailer down in the middle of nowhere, South Carolina, in a swamp, basically. And then get home and just have like, the 13 channels or something like that over the air. And then eventually got cable, and then whatever's at the video station. And we had Bazooka Video, we had the video station, the video den, and we'd go in there and whatever they had VHS tape. And like most of the time, I'd be renting the same movie over and over again. It'd be like Universal Soldier, Stargate, mostly Stargate.
I love Stargate.
I love Stargate. And then for doing a TV show, and of course, I didn't have Showtime.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, it took me a while. And we're catching it one time. They do like the free preview
The free
weekend or something.
weekend, yeah.
And like it popped up, and then one time, like I was able to, if I rocked the channels back and forth, I could actually pick up Showtime kind of weirdly for some reason.
Oh, no
Like,
kidding.
I could pick it up. I don't know how. It's like maybe it's some kind of bad coding in the cable or something along those lines. I was able to get it, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And so only got like a fraction, like a third of an episode. It's just be like, what a tease. But
right.
These kids nowadays, I mean, if they want to watch something, they can go watch it. They don't have to like, oh my god, what was that guy in that movie? And then now you just go to Google, you just type it in.
It's they really. I mean, I one thing that I want to kind of keep kind of a tradition is when I was a kid. When Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer came on CBS, it was like that was it. There was a one time of the year that you could watch it. And nowadays, it's just like, oh, you just pull it up on your phone, or you can rent it or buy it and just on your digitally and just have the DVD or whatever. It's just, but I kind of don't want to do that. If it's on once a year, I'm like, hey, buddy, like Rudolph's on. We don't want to watch Rudolph, and that's the only thing that I kind of want to keep kind of special. I don't want him to watch that, like, you know what I mean? Because it's just they still air it once a year, and it's kind of. I remember as a kid just being jazzed every year. It was only on once. Maybe they played it twice, but I just remember it was only on once. And you kids want to watch it? Oh yeah. So we all gathered in front of the TV, and that was the one and only time we could watch it until next year. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like in this day and age where everything's available to everybody at the snap of a finger. I wanted to make sure that at least there's one little kind of fun. You know, old school type of thing that I could do from my kid, because I kind of wanted to have a similar upbringing than that I had. You know what I mean? It's just I see a lot of kids these days, and they're just headaches, and I don't want a headache. I want a decent kid for a change. You know what I mean? That I think
raising a good human being. You're not just placating some child for now, and it keeps him as a child forever. You're trying to raise a good human being.
Yeah, and part of it too is just like, well, here's my phone, or why don't you play with your tablet, or like when we put on something on TV, and just these kids just become zombies. All they do is just either watch TV or play video games. They don't interact with anything. So I was telling you earlier about, like, we go outside,
Hmm.
and she's like, let's go out. It's a beautiful day. Let's go outside. And he's like, okay, let's go. What do you want to do? Let's go for a walk and just do something fun out in the backyard. But, like, we got this little bug net, and just like we'll trap, like, butterflies, crickets, shit like that, and just like, hey, do you want to see it? Cool. Let's put it in a jar and take a look at it. We let everything go. But, it's, I grew up just playing outside. Go outside and play. Go outside and play. Go outside and play. And Saturday mornings, or like immediately after school, we could watch like cartoons, but it wasn't like we weren't glued to the TV or glued to it. Obviously, they didn't have like tablets or phones or any of that shit when we were kids. But it was one of these things where, when I see, and it's not every kid, some kids are just, have, I don't want to say normal, but, they're not, glued to electronics and screens. Um, but, I don't want my kid to be like that. That's, just every kid and every parent's different, but that's just kind of how I want to raise them.
Yeah, it's a good way of raising. I mean, you're kind of curating what your child sees. I mean, it's like
Mm.
in the chat, Stargate was mentioned. Oh, Stargate SG-1 season 1 wasn't that good anyway, and I'm like, yes, it was. It was good, not all of it. I mean, I don't know if you knew this, but there was a lot of nudity in that show, like the season 1. There's, like, compared to your standard, just like
Because it was on Showtime.
exactly. So they basically
Yeah.
had to force nudity in there. But
They had to
that's
force it.
that's the, it's like, well, we got to placate our audience. But it's
Right.
like that. That's the season that has like one of my favorite episodes. That's the one with Thor's hammer. That's the one that dealt with the Stargate, the guy going through the gate in like the 1940s. Ernest Littlefield character. He
Mm.
goes through the gate and then he gets cut off and basically is trapped on a world where the dial home device is broken. So he's basically been trapped there alone for like 50 years.
Oh.
And then he's kind of gone and like a little bit mad. And it's like that was a really good, this little, and they also in that episode, it's like, oh, we got to find a way back home. But they also discovered that there was like these 4 ancient races, and that the Asgardians and this and that and all that, and they kind of like realized, the Asgardians, the ancients, the Furlings, and the Nox or whatever, and they're like, hey, we know these, this kind of stuff, and it's like kind of building up the mythology of the world. So actually, it was a very beneficial episode. And then you got TNG, and TNG season 1 fucking stinks, and it has one great episode. It's episode 19, if I'm not mistaken. That's the one where the bugs infest Starfleet, and then at the end of the episode, it's like the bugs, their head explodes. That's the one. I don't know if you know the one I'm talking about. That's the
No.
I think it's called infestation or invasion or something like that.
I'll
But
look it up.
there's these parasites. They infest Starfleet personnel. A bunch of Starfleet captains get together. They basically told Jean-Luc, "Don't tell nothing. Don't tell nobody, no one. Just meet us here. It's private, communication." So these ships meet out there. One of them is Michael Berryman, is one of the other
Oh yeah.
captains.
Oh no shit.
And then he comes out there, and you're like, "Hey, we will make sure what happened on this date?" And it's like, and they're kind of like messing with him, seeing if you remember the correct information. It's like, what's going on here? So something's going on. There's these ships going in. People are coming back out. They ain't acting normal. And there's like this bug invasion of Starfleet, and it's like this. I think it's called conspiracy, but it's freaking amazing. And it has like the only time in Star Trek you see a head explode. It's like this bug alien's like it. Not only does the head explode, it melts and then explodes.
Oh,
But conspiracy, that's it.
that's okay. I'll
Yeah,
have to check that out. I'll
yeah. It's like
definitely check that out.
yeah, and then one of the people in the chat, Custom Songmaker, the only thing you can't see whenever you want on a phone is 3D movies. Get a good HD gaming projector for $550, and the family has to get together for a 3D movie. I think 3D is just a gimmick.
Mm.
I saw something today. I think it's called Boneworks. It's from Valve, the video game people that did Half-Life and the ones that published Portal and
Yep.
Gary's Mod, all that stuff. This game, it's a 3D, because gaming is eventually going to go towards Microsoft and Sony are teaming up, and I know you game a bit as well. You don't do a
Yeah,
whole lot,
a little bit.
but gaming seems there's be an impasse. A while back, when they introduced Xbox One, they were like, okay, always online. You can't You can't go offline. You can't buy used games. You have to have this peripheral. You have to have the Kinect and all this and that. People are like, fuck you, no.
Yeah.
Now you got Microsoft and Sony teaming up to do streaming games, and then you got Google over here doing that as well, where you got to buy a $10 a month service. That's just to get the service. Then you got to buy like a $120 controller and like a Chromecast thing. And so you have for like $120 a month for a year for service and the controller. You're talking about so 240. That's just to play the game. Then you got to buy the games that you don't even really own. And so you have to have a minimum connection. If you lose a connection, boom, you're gone. If your internet goes out, you're gone. If you go over your data cap, you're screwed. And Google's answer to that, the whole data cap thing, is, well, internet service providers will have to change the rules, which is like you're just expecting them to change. You don't have no plans. Valve has introduced this thing, and this I think you look it up. It's Boneworks is Valve. It's this VR where they have these little gauntlet things where you can basically grab with your hands. I'm not actually able to find the video. I might be able to share the video a little bit. Just share a screen where you can. There's physics in this world. You can grab people, and you can punch them. You can break. You can kind of go a little John Wick. And it's. I've never been excited for VR ever. It's like look boring.
Yeah.
This right here. I don't know, man. I might have to, if I have to sell a kidney to get a rig to run this. I mean, it's one of those things. Like it's beautiful to look at. It's also horrifying because if I shared a screen, will not be able to hear it because there's no audio. I don't have it set up to do the audio.
Yeah.
But it does. You can see the video, and with the audio has. Let's just say squeals. Like there's these wireframe people, so it's like kind of like if they're in pain. It's that. It's kind of like so. It's you are showing, beings in pain. So it's kind of. I'm thinking this is just the first. What do you call it? Kind of the first batch, like the little beta test. Let me do the screen share real quick, but maybe you'll be able to see it on your end. Who's in the chat might be able to see it as well. That says they're interested. They're still watching. All right.
Okay,
here we go. Okay, so it's like this little you got standard headset, and then but you can grab with your hands. Like you can. This guy's like say it's like bouncer simulator. If you want to look at it, you can grab someone.
You've had enough to drink, you fucking cocksucker. What the fuck are you doing? Put the fucking beer down, asshole.
You got this guy, grab, trying to subdue him. It's like you have too much to drink, and he starts poking him in the face, slapping him, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty fascinating. So he gets the baseball bat, and this is just one of these things, like trying to hold him off. I was like, I'm looking at this, like, okay, this is still kind of testing phase. I'm like, give it a break, but then he starts beating him in the knee, and he's favoring the leg. And then this is one of those things like to see this, boom, and he just drops him, and it's like real, like almost like where if you'd hit the person in the head, it registers like a knockout blow.
Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
You motherfucking
Now you can't leave.
See,
now he's got a gun. Oh shit! Shit!
This looks great, don't it? This is just beautiful. And then where's that?
Oh my god!
It's like this is like some John Woo. John Wick shit, boom, boom, boom.
Oh my god!
See, tell me you would not want they drop the mag, reload another, and then stab,
the guy.
shoot him in the face.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
And upcoming is actually one of the more horrific parts I've found. If it's the one I think it is, it's I saw something similar to this. Yeah. Okay. So you grab the dude, you can grab onto the person, they can fight you. Okay.
Yeah.
Look what he's about to do.
Oh, jeez.
And then he's trying to line it up because it is weird. It's awkward. But then when you connect, into the skull.
Holy shit.
dude, this thing. Oh, this ain't the half of it.
Oh, he's spanking him.
He's spanking his dead corpse.
You've been a bad boy. Oh, he's gonna take the baseball bat.
Yeah, he just like beat him with a baseball bat. You can shoot and tie balloons to him, so they can't even stand up.
It's like
and they're struggling. The computer's like trying to tell their AI is like, get up. It's just like he just can't get up. Oh. It's so sad, and it's like it's funny and sad all at the same time. But one of the best parts was when they break out the broadsword, and it's like straight up like Highlander.
There can be only one.
No decapitations, though. I wish there was some decapitations in this because that would have been fantastic to see. But you got the first off, I love the fact that you're racking rounds in there. You're pulling the slide back. You're not just just popping it in there like some of them games look like. But
sure.
Then you break out the broadsword, dude. The struggle. Oh no! And it's like sliding down, and he's sliding down into it. And the worst part, the way he's struck. Like, look, it's going into his thigh, and he's stuck in there, and he's like, and so he's like telling him, "Fight, get up, get out of here." And it's like how, and if you listen to the audio, you hear the squeals, and he's pulling the sword through the corpse.
Jesus Christ!
This is just wireframe. Imagine this was like dressed like a person, had like a facial expressions and all that.
Right.
This is going to be like when people say like murder simulators. They don't
shit.
This is
this poor bastard.
Oh God Almighty! It's beautiful. Severed his spinal column. Like that's the thing. All this stuff right here. Just goes
the balloon guy. The balloon guy cracks me up.
Yeah, it's like that's just great, just like floating there.
Do you ever watch the show Gotham?
I never watched it other than I watched one episode. I never watched it after that one episode.
I watched the first 10 and then that was it. But in I think it was Gotham, but they had like a guy that was like killing people with balloons. Like, you know what I mean? He like strapped the balloon to a guy and then the balloon went up in the air and then just, the guy just went up, miles in the sky and the balloon popped and the guy would fall. It was just like, that's just kind of a fucked up way to kill somebody. You know what I mean? Just you think of it like, oh, it's a balloon. How silly is that? It's just like the guy just goes up and up and up and up and then just pops and dies, goes splat. But I just the whole time I'm seeing this fucking wireframe guy in balloons. I'm just thinking that, and it's like that was funny.
You gotta think that's a horrifying way to go, though, because it's like,
oh God,
because like there's a kid looking up, at, look at a pretty balloon. Like they're not paying attention. Because if you do get free, you're fucked. After what, 30, 40 feet, you're pretty much fucked. Like, those people that have survived, like jumping off like the George Washington Bridge or the St. Golden Gate Bridge, stuff like that. Like these people, they try to commit suicide, like while they're falling, and realize, oh my God, what have I done?
Right. And it's halfway down, they're like, this wasn't a good idea.
I made a terrible mistake.
I made a terrible mistake.
You can stop time. Like, you're gonna change, but it's one of those things. Like, these near-death experiences. Like, I'd never been like, that. I mean, you get down, you say depressed, but I've never been suicidal.
No,
I nearly drowned in a river, and it's one of those things. Like, I think part of me is like, this is blasphemous, but might offend Christian view, even though whatever. It is what it is. I think potentially that maybe a sect, not necessarily Judaism or Christianity, the whole idea of baptism wasn't, cleansing away sins and being birthed anew. It was, do you want to live? God damn it! You basically drown. Like, imagine it's one thing to dunk yourself down. It's another to basically allow somebody to hold your head and like pinch your nose and dunk you. Now imagine like basically you're being shoved and basically waterboarded, and you say you're down in the dumps, you're not doing so good, and that happens to you. If you want to die, subconsciously your body will fight, but maybe part of you just give in, and then that part of you kicks in like, I want to live, and then so you fight. And I think that right there could wake a lot of people up. I think it does a lot better than let's just talk it out.
Sure.
But Yeah, it's so bizarre, but I realize it's getting late. Been about 2 hours at this. This has been fun.
This has been
So
fun.
it's been too long, but we'll do this again soon with our super masshole show. Uh, I probably can't call it that. I probably call it something else. Like, I don't know. I don't know something. I just call it mass H. O or whatever, and then like asterisk or something like that. Like
Mass hole, WHOLE. It's the whole lot of us.
well, that's the thing. It's like you can't. Even that, I think they probably have like a little thing reading through. You can't have that as a title. Like they'll figure something out. But
Sounds good to me, man.
But we'll do something. But hey, thanks for those jumped in the chat. I appreciate it. And thank you, Pete, for joining me once again. And until next time, folks, whenever that may be, good night and good luck.